Let's explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily.
It really feels like the cat with the laser pointer. It's like you've led the cat up to the top of the building, and now you're leading it over the edge.
President Trump is rebalancing trade around the world and making things more fair for the American people.
I think that anytime the deep state can like overcapitalize in whatever situation they have, they're going to.
But the rest of it is a very well organized and well funded color revolution operation of the type they run all over the world again and again and again to destabilize entire society.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily. It is Tuesday, and then filling in for Gordon today, and he'll be switching days. We got Ash joining us this morning. How you doing, Ash?
I'm doing well. Gordon is actually filling in for me tomorrow because I am flying tomorrow, and I'm doing well, but I'm unbelievably overwhelmed with all of the things. Because all the things I have to do before I get on a plane or leave for the airport at 4 a.m. tomorrow. And I really wanted to get a haircut, and I don't know if I'm going to have time.
4 a.m.?
Yeah.
Oh, that's miserable.
Yeah, it's, I think, the best way to beat the demons at the Denver airport.
Oh, I know. You know, I was...
They're still sleeping then, so you got to trick them.
When I was flying home from California, from San Diego, there was a guy that was in line at TSA, like through the checkpoint with me in front of me, a young guy. And he looked like kind of like the hipster hiking kind of guy. Like he was wearing the Northwood and all that. And he was a real friendly guy. And he's like, dude, I got like 8 minutes to get to my terminal. Do you think I'm going to make it on time? Have you ever been through this airport? And I'm like, no, I've never been through this airport, but that's going to be close, man. We got like 50 people in front of us and you still got to go through the screening. So he goes, we started talking. He goes, have you ever flown through Denver? And I go, yeah, actually, I've flown through Denver quite a bit. And I go, you know, all the conspiracies behind that airport. And he's like, no. And I was like, well, you know about Lucifer, right? And he's like, no, what's that? And I go, the big horse, the big blue horse. And he's like, I said, it killed its creator. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, it fell over and killed the guy that made it. Yeah. And then I told him about the gargoyles, the paintings, the COVID predictions, the underground city. Like, Denver's wild, man.
Yeah, and actually, if you missed it, I think it was 2 GART live streams ago. Not the one that was last Thursday, but the Thursday before. Josh Reed told us about his experiences working at the Denver airport, which led to a discussion that basically confirmed my suspicion that, you know, we're just surface dwellers in Colorado. The real action is happening in the underground city, the underground state that exists below our surface dwelling state.
Yeah. All right. So
and I hate that horse, by the way.
It looks so cool, but it's just not appropriate there. Like that would be like a cool, like if the Denver Broncos wanted that for like a mascot or something.
Not a Bronco, it's a Mustang.
I know. Exactly. If it was a Bronco and the Broncos wanted it, you know, get rid of the red eyes. The red eyes are kind
of
also
the wrong color blue.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but
if it has like, if people haven't seen it, it has like veins coming out of it and stuff. Like it looks super
pissed,
crazy.
And it's got blood red glowing eyes that are like lit up. It's
all the time. Yeah.
And it's just randomly in this open field with nothing around it. Nothing.
Well, it's at the gate of entry, Brian. It's at the turn in Pena Boulevard where you go to where you can split off and go to either terminal. So it's basically the blue horse with demon eyes is guarding the entrance to travel in and out of our state.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into our sponsors for today's show, I do want to give you guys a quick programming update because there are some subtle changes this week. It's a GART week as always, so there will not be a Badlands Daily, as far as I know, on Thursday, because all of us will be traveling or at Cocoa Beach for the GART event, unless Brad and Abby want to stay up, because this is like 3 a.m. for them right now or something like that,
6, I think.
6 a.m. So
I think 2 hours from me, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, so for Thursday there won't be a Badlands Daily, and then Friday morning, Chris and I will do it live from GART, but it will be at 9 a.m. Eastern. It'll be an hour early, and it'll be probably about a 45-minute show. It'll be a condensed show. So that's your updates. No daily on Thursday, and 9 a.m. on Friday with me and Chris Paul. So there we go. And on that note, let's talk about our sponsors, and let's start off with a new sponsor here and talk about our friends over at Kitchen and Flooring Direct. No rug pulls, just flooring. Factory direct savings on all wood cabinets and luxury vinyl plank flooring straight from our factories to your home, serving the USA since 1985, backed by lifetime and 50-year warranties. Save 50% or more with free delivery to your door, plus a free 3D kitchen design with every order. Choose from over 100 cabinet colors and 20 stunning floor options. Most orders ship in just 2 to 3 days. Join thousands of satisfied customers and visit badlandsmedia.tv/kitchen or call 888-831-4124 today and use discount code BADLANDS for an extra discount. Again, that's badlandsmedia.tv/kitchen or call 1-888-831-4124 and use discount code BADLANDS.
No rugs.
No rugs. Me and Ash were talking about that before the show. We're like, yeah, just flooring, no rugs.
Yeah.
Although they might sell rugs. We need a Badlands rug. Let's talk.
That would ruin the joke if they did.
We should talk with them about developing a Badlands rug with G Money's face on.
Yeah, I feel like we would be solid wood flooring.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. Ash, you want to talk about our friends over at Benson Honey?
I sure do. Welcome to Benson Honey Farms, where every jar is pure gold. Benson Honey is excited to be back on Badlands Media with their latest 2025 honey harvest straight from their farm in Nebraska. While they've been busy working to improve our state politics from the ground up, they've never forgotten the importance of sharing the best honey around. Did you know that honey isn't just a sweet treat? It's nature's medicine, perfect for alleviating allergies, soothing upset stomachs, or as a delicious natural sweetener for baking. Benson Honey is never heated, ensuring you receive it in its pure, raw form, full of natural goodness. At Benson Honey Farms, quality and purity is a top priority. They're committed to providing the finest honey from hive to home, and like honey barbecue sauces and candies and all sorts of incredible products. Join the supportive community and enjoy a special offer. If you visit badlandsmedia.tv/honey and use promo code Badlands, you can get 15% off your purchase. Benson Honey Farms, savor the authentic taste of Nebraska and support America's first business. Follow on Facebook at Benson Honey Farms. And we love Benson Honey. Super excited to see them back with a new harvest of new 2025 honey. And now I want honey candy.
Yeah, their honey candy's awesome.
I love the honey candy. It's super good.
The barbecue sauce is phenomenal. All their products are amazing.
Actually, the first time I ever had Benson honey candy was at GART, Cocoa Beach, my first GART, and they had it on all of the tables, and I met Mo there as well.
Did you see me giving Abby shit yesterday?
Mm-mm.
When she was doing the
I will fight you on this.
She was giving the Tamarack Gardens elderberry, and she was mixing the honey, and she poured it in a metal pot, a metal tin, and I was like, can't do the metal and honey. You can't touch honey with metal. It kills. What is it like? It kills like the enzymes or something in it that are supposed to be good for you. So, yeah,
I don't know, but I'm mad at you now for giving Abby shit.
It wasn't shit. I just said honey can't touch metal, or don't use a metal something or other. I don't know.
Did you watch her video though? I loved her.
It was
video.
great. It was great.
Yeah.
We have that syrup, and we haven't made it yet, but now we're gonna have to get on that. So.
Oh yeah, I made it, and it's very good, and I've been downing it every single day in the run up to being around a whole bunch of people at GART.
EC was here, says honey is bee barf.
Well.
Oh man. All right, guys. And last little promo before we get into the news.
Here on the sun-kissed shores of Cocoa Beach, where the ocean meets the horizon, The Great American Restoration Tour continues on November 6th through the 9th, 2025. Badlands Media gathers patriots like you, not just to talk, but to rebuild. From truth-telling panels to unbreakable bonds, we're restoring the soul of our nation, one conversation at a time. This is the heart of the Space Coast, where the rockets defy gravity and dreams touch the stars. Feel the thunder of innovation that powers America forward. Together, we're not just healing the past, we're blasting off into a brighter tomorrow, a future where truth prevails, families thrive, and America leads once more. Join us in Cocoa Beach. Get your seat or your virtual stream pass now at badlandsmedia.tv/events. Launch is imminent, and you don't want to miss this liftoff.
All right, badlandsmedia.tv/events. Get your virtual and in-person single-day GART tickets available right now. I just got word that Mama Canncon is going to be joining us on Saturday.
Oh, yay.
That'll be cool. My mom's going to
Your
be...
mom gets to meet my mom. I love that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. They'll be
Yeah.
like best friends, and they're only like an hour away from each other.
I know.
Oh, no. We could create a monster here.
A momster.
Momster. Oh, I love it. All right, guys. Smash that.
I would just say quickly before about GART. We do change the world one conversation at a time. The battle of ideas and ideals is, our focus. I think for certainly here at Badlands, it's also the right thing to be focused on. Not personalities, not faction, not party, not any of that nonsense. The right ideas, and that's what we're focused on at GARTs. This particular lineup of panels, I think I'm more excited about than any other lineup of panels. I think they're going to be excellent conversations that are super relevant for right now. So
I know there's a lot of
badlandsmedia.tv/events.
There's a lot of really good convos that are in these panels. Like, it's going to be awesome. So get your tickets. All right, guys, smash that thumbs up. The first story that I want to talk about today, I don't even want to pull a picture up because it's not worthy of a picture, an article, or anything like that. Dick Cheney is dead at 84 years old. And my mama, speaking of Mama Canncon, my mama always told me, if you don't have something nice to say about anybody, don't say anything at all. And I am not going to heed my mom's advice. Dick Cheney, good riddance, sir. GTFO. And go ahead, Ash.
Well, yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about this before we went live. I think I forget what show it was on, but we were talking about Dick Cheney a few weeks ago, and I'm like, he's still alive? And yeah, apparently he was, but he's not anymore. But I already had the appropriate reaction ages ago when I thought he was dead. So it really doesn't impact me anyway whatsoever, except I feel like we're we can breathe a little easier. Just a reminder to everybody that Dick Cheney was the guy acting as commander-in-chief, making the call to shoot down planes on 9/11. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why the actual commander-in-chief, George W. Bush, was not acting as commander-in-chief, and why Dick Cheney was. Super curious question that we've never gotten an answer to.
New case says Darth Vader heart. That is an insult to Darth Vader.
Yeah,
that is an
agreed.
Insult to Darth Vader.
Medbez says, I also thought Cheney was dead. Possible Mandela effect. Maybe.
Maybe
it was just wishful.
No, what's funny is a lot of people have been like, so I woke up this morning and the first thing I do after I wake up is I check my phone and I see the first person I saw report it was Zero Hedge. And so I look at Zero Hedge and I'm reading through the comments, which it had just posted. So there's only like 15 comments. And like half of them were, I thought he was already dead.
Yeah.
And then you come on and the first thing you say to me is, I thought he was already dead. Yeah. And to be honest with you, the thought crossed my mind, like, Cheney's dead at 84. I thought he died like years ago.
Well, I think the nicest thing to heed your mom, right? Well, if you don't have anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I will say that I hope Dick Cheney enjoys meeting John McCain in that big Gitmo in the sky.
Wherever they may be.
Wherever they may be.
Yeah. All right. It is election day. So let's jump into just a broad coverage.
Everybody in the chat thought he was dead, by the way. They're all like, wait, what? I thought he was dead too.
he campaigning. He did that. Naturally, Nikki is right there. He did notoriously cast a vote for Kamala Harris, allegedly. Voting's also fake, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Speaking of fake voting, make sure you guys
Today, everybody get out and fake vote today.
going out there to vote. If you're in Virginia, it's just the news is reporting it's likely to go to Spanberger, the literal CIA agent running for the Democrat ticket in Virginia, again alongside Jay Jones, who's I don't know if he's projected to win. It says Jason Myers, the current AG, is leading Jones by anywhere from 1 to 8 points after Jones, came out and said he wanted to kill.
Spread.
1 to 8. 1 to 8 points.
Get Rasmussen in there to do some real polling.
Yeah, right. Exactly. New Jersey is neck and neck, where you have Jack Ciattarelli running against I don't even know who he's running against. I couldn't care less. Mickey Sherrill, is that it? No,
I don't know.
I don't even care. I really don't care. Like I until we fix elections, this is all just like filler.
Yeah.
What else?
Sammy says I am voting today, even if it means with poop emoji. And me too. I will be going after the show to go vote. We're voting down a whole bunch of new spending that they're trying to, force upon us, which will ultimately find its way to NGOs and, people that are pulling six figures claiming to fight homelessness. Won't actually go to homeless people.
Yeah.
Or children or whatever else they say it's for.
Oh man, I had this great video that I had saved, speaking of that right here. Let me see if I could find this in just a second or two, because it's talking about how much money the officials in California actually make, like in the water management and whatnot. Let me see. I know I bookmarked this because I wanted to do something with it, and I never actually did anything with it because that happens so often.
While you're looking it up.
Here it is. I found it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just say, Bubba Ganesh says, I don't understand. I thought the promise was that we were going to get all of this fixed. I agree with that sentiment, right? It's like, we're having an election today where we haven't fixed elections. That's crazy. But I will say, we have more movement on fixing elections, on restoring free and fair elections where the outcome reflects the will of the people. There's more movement on that in recent months since Trump took office, right? One of the first executive orders he signed. Plus, we're going to get into, other news about how that's moving forward, particularly down in Georgia and whatnot. So I'm with you, Baba Ganesh, but I'm also cautiously optimistic.
Actually, you know what? Now that you brought that up, that's actually a perfect segue to the article I wrote yesterday. DOJ sends another request for 2020 election records in Georgia following refusal to comply with the state election board subpoenas. Again, I briefly covered this yesterday. I kind of teased a podcast. I was not able to do it because, Christy uses the studio after Y-Chromes for Alpha's Mix.
For the most important show that happens in the studio.
For the most important show, the only show on Badlands that I never miss an episode if I'm not sitting in the chair watching it and making the episode. I try and watch a lot of shows on Badlands, but Alphas is one show that I watch all the time just to make sure that Christy doesn't talk too much shit about me.
Well, it is an excellent show. Also, she texted me over the weekend angry that I sent you that picture of that rig, streaming rig. She's like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Brian's never gonna leave the house."
And that rig's only like $1,200.
I know, it's really cool.
It's like this. So for those that can't see it, it's like, imagine like a TIE fighter in Star Wars.
I'll pull it in. You talk about your story and I'll pull
it in.
So
I am going to do a live stream today at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on my channels about specifically this. We're going to get really in depth. I'm supposed to have the guy that wrote the report that is kind of the foundation for these investigations, and for, Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for an investigation. There's been a lot of calls for an investigation. Now, the one thing I will say, so you've had the state election board in Georgia subpoenaed back in November of 2024. They subpoenaed the physical ballots. They never got them. Garland Favorito has been suing for over 1,000 days with a pending case to see the ballots. Never got that. Still waiting on that. Marjorie Taylor Greene. The state election board then sent another formal subpoena like a month ago. Still no movement on that. Marjorie Taylor Greene sent a formal request to the DOJ for an investigation specifically into Fulton County. President Trump called out Fulton County about a month ago. Now, and Ed Martin also sent a letter to Judge McBurney demanding access to these records. But I will say this, and we'll go more in depth on this, when we go over it. But this is the first time that they've given an ultimatum. They've given a deadline. You have 15 days. Harmeet Dillon sent a letter to, let me make sure I'm citing this properly. Where did I not put the letter in here? How did I not put the letter in here? I'm just trying to remember exactly who. Oh, there it is. What was I doing? I knew I put the letter in here. Harmeet Dillon sent a letter specifically addressed to the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, Sherry Allen in her official capacity as chairperson, Douglas Selby, Teresa Crawford. These are all the members. Julie Adams is awesome. Nadine Williams, demanding, if you look down here at the bottom, the last thing it says is the requested information may be sent by encrypted email by voting.section@usdoj.gov or using the Justice Enterprise file sharing, a secure file sharing system, and saying that the Civil Rights Division appreciates your prompt attention to this matter within 15 days of today. Compliance with this request includes notifying all individuals or organizations that have access to the responsive records, even if not directly affiliated with your office. So, hey, that's the wrong one. So this is the first time that we're actually getting, and I just realized I didn't have the right screen up, but this is the first time that we're getting a demand for these records, which are supposed to be stored, right? There's an injunction on them pending for the voter GA case, the Garland case, started back in December of, in 2021. I think it was like February of 2021. In 2022, the Georgia Supreme Court kicked it back down, saying that Garland has standing, voter GA has standing, and it's been pending ever since for over 1,000 days. I think I did the math yesterday, and it's 1,010 days today since the Georgia Supreme Court remanded it back down to the lower courts. So hopefully we get some movement. Ed Martin is posting the Fulton tweet again. It's the second time he's posted that, so we'll see.
Yeah, so this is one of the top stories in the brief this morning, badlands.substack.com. If you're not reading the brief, you should be. So my initial reaction is, oh, great, another strongly worded letter.
Yep.
However, the letter is good. It is, and it very intentionally, as you just read through or kind of recounted, catalogs the record. The record of obstruction. So one of the problems that we have is that government officials generally get the presumption of good faith, right? These people are sworn officers. So there's no, they're not going to obstruct justice. So if it turns out that they accidentally didn't comply with something and obstructed justice accidentally, well, they get another shot at it. And then they get another shot at it. And then they get another shot at it. And Fulton County, in this instance, has had a whole bunch of chances to follow the law and comply with lawful orders and subpoenas, and they have obstructed. So I think that one of the things about this letter that gives me, some optimism is that it's recounting the record and showing that this is a pattern. It's a pattern from Fulton County to obstruct inquiry specifically on the issue of the 2020 election. With everything we know about Fulton County in 2020, that's alarming to those of us who care about election integrity. One of the key shifts here is that the U.S. Department of Justice is now carrying this ball. Right? It's not just us carrying the ball anymore. It's not just us screaming at the sky and trying to get sworn officers to listen to us. It's actually people with authority to do something about it. So I'm encouraged by that. I'm not standing on a rug. I'm not holding my breath. But as I've said a whole bunch of times, I don't think that they would be revealing all of this corruption and exposing that we were right. Right. All of us conspiracy theorists, election deniers, were right about this. They're showing us that we're right about this. And I don't think that they're not going to do anything about it, but maybe.
So the one thing that I do want to highlight, and this is something I caught right away, and was talking with somebody familiar with the situation, and
sources close to the matter.
Sources close to the matter.
I like it.
Ash can probably guess who I'm referring to, but
I won't.
So it says here, notably, this is what I wrote. Notably, the letter ends by saying, quote, the requested information may be sent by encrypted email or via the DOJ's secure file sharing system, end quote. However, the crux of the state election board subpoenas and its request for DOJ intervention specifically refers to the physical paper ballots. The reason for this is that evidence of manipulation of the scanned images has been discovered through open records requests. The letter gives 15 days for a response, which appears to represent the first time the DOJ has issued a deadline for a response regarding an investigation specifically into the 2020 election. That's for the whole country, by the way. This is the first time that any of us, we put our brains together and said, has the DOJ ever given a specific day, timeline by which they can respond? And we couldn't come up with an answer. Further, it was revealed at the DEF CON Voter Village in 2019 that software can be manipulated to scan hand markings on scanned images faster than the scanner can save and store those images themselves, which is why the physical ballots become so relevant. And so the one thing that concerns me about this letter is that Fulton County will say, okay, they want us to upload it to the DOJ server. Sure, we'll give you the ballot images. We've already got the ballot images. We don't want the ballot images. We need boots on the ground in Fulton County, going through and peeling back the tape and opening the boxes and looking at the physical ballots themselves. And, we need
a full forensic audit, if in other words.
Yes. And I would like to see, people like Joe Rossi, people who helped draft State Election Board 2023-025 complaint. I would like to see Eric Spikeen, the only person who's actually provided evidence in the Arizona audit of paper manipulation. He's the only one that's actually provided his findings on that. But yeah, there's no holds barred anymore. Like, this is it. This is it. We've got 1 year until the midterms. There's elections going on today and nothing's been fixed. We
don't have a full year because you have the election period where everything gets, kind of locked down and no changes and no challenge can happen, during that period of the election, which is like 3 months or whatever. It depends on the state. But so, yeah, I agree with you. It's time. The time is now, but it's not, I would be dooming out if the time is now and there's nothing happening. But the reality is that there's a lot of stuff happening with elections and all of the right people are freaking out, which makes me comfortable.
100%. All right. So here was that video that I found that I wanted to play. We were talking about corruption in California and how much officials are making.
Look at all that water. The LADWP has a combined water and power budget of $11 billion. But where's all that money going? As of 2023, over 100 LADWP employees earned an annual compensation of over $500,000 each. 27 LADWP employees earn more than $600,000 per year. And 4 top-level LADWP employees earn more than $700,000 a year. But somehow these highly paid individuals couldn't find the funds to repair a $140,000 tear in the Santa Ynez Reservoir or get the Palisades Reservoir in Chautauqua online. Despite being paid millions upon millions of dollars, the top level employees at the LADWP failed to do their basic job. At this point, we shouldn't be surprised. It's just like Newsom and all his friends and the nonprofits and the NGOs. They blow all the budget and the salaries, and there's nothing left to accomplish the actual task at hand, like having water for the town that didn't need to burn down.
Now, I have not fact-checked that thoroughly. However, I do remember during the Palisades, it was widely reported. And by the way, that was posted by Wall Street Apes on X. If you guys want to check it out on October 28th, that's how long it's been sitting in my bookmarks. That's how crazy my bookmarks are. I do remember the woman that was running LADWP or whatever it's called, was making $750,000 a year. That was the big reporting at that time, that this woman was a private, crossover from the private sector into the public. And I don't remember the specifics, but I know there was a lot of controversy around her with one of the previous fires.
Yeah, and it's a great question. Where is all the money going? It's a question that people in blue states and blue cities all over are asking, not just for water things, but certainly for water things. Water is a problem in a lot of places here as well. But it's, so you have the compensation. high level compensation, people making six figures for working in public service or public utilities or, solving homelessness or whatever. But then you also have the studies, right? So they commission studies to study the issue. So we have to fix this $150,000, issue with our reservoir or aqueduct or whatever it is. We need to do a study to determine the best way to fix it. So then, the people with the authority, their buddies with the NGO or the scientific research company or the think tank, they get the contract, few $100,000, a couple million dollars to study the issue and figure it out. Again, $150,000 to fix the problem, but we have to study it to make sure we're not going to, make a grub extinct or something if we fix it in a specific way. Everybody's getting paid off throughout that problem or throughout that process. And when it comes down to actually solving the problem, fixing the water that goes to the people that live there and pay for all of this through taxation and other means, there's no money left. That happens in every major social issue. And this isn't a social issue. This is water. This is critical infrastructure, right? But it happens in all the social issues as well. Well, we need to study. We need to solve homelessness. Well, we have, 4 principals that are making over 6 figures a year. And also we've commissioned 4 studies that, cost a total of a couple $1 million. Sorry, we don't actually have any money to solve homelessness but we figured out how. So if you just vote for more money for us and just, give us more, we'll just raise your taxes a little bit. And then we'll really totally pinky promise, solve homelessness this time or water.
New K's nailed it. Form a committee to form committees, to do studies on how to form committees, on how to plan meetings to form committees.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
pretty much what it is. I proposed that on Saturday or Sunday. I think I did my show on Sunday. On the weekend review show that I do. Name one thing Congress has done in the last several decades that has been beneficial to the American people. Like anything. Name anything your government, and this isn't just exclusive to Congress. Name anything that your local government, well, local governments are a little different. Your state government, let's go with state government. Name anything the state government has done, thrown money at, okay? Not passed laws and all that, but thrown money at that has fixed. Like homelessness, we were talking about that last week in California, is wildly worse than it was under or not under, but the more money they throw at it. California's throwing billions of dollars at homelessness, and it's worse and worse and worse. And what was the other one? Oh man, what were we just talking about? Oh, and our foreign government, right? Or our foreign policy.
I think you were right the first time.
Yeah, right. Our foreign government. Yeah, that's a good point. But President Trump pointing out the thing going on with Colombia with Gustavo Petro down there, and he's like, we've put more money into counter drug trafficking operations in Colombia, and cocaine is the highest it's ever been as far as the exports from Colombia. Like the more money we throw at shit, the better, the worse it gets, but the better for them that it gets, because then they get to get more money to throw at it. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. All right. All right. So speaking of throwing more money at problems in California politics, Democrats brace for Nancy Pelosi's possible retirement.
What does that even look like? What are they bracing for?
Oh, just wait till you read this. Democrats are bracing for the possible retirement of Nancy Pelosi, one of the party's most powerful, popular, and effective leaders. Popular. Nancy Pelosi is popular. I don't even think Democrats like Nancy Pelosi anymore. She is expected to make an announcement. She is expected to make an announcement after about her future after today's election. Democrat sources believe the 85-year-old California Democrat will choose not to seek re-election in 2026 after nearly 4 decades. 4 decades. 40 years. And I'd be hard pressed. I mean, can we find a debate? Has she ever? When's the last time Nancy Pelosi held a public debate? Let's look this up. When is the last time Nancy Pelosi participated? I can't speak in a public.
It's got to be 30 years.
Debate. It says the last known participation in a public debate was May of 2024 when she spoke.
No, you're asking about a debate for a campaign, right?
Oh, debate-like setting.
Oh, I thought you were asking had to campaign or had to debate as part of a campaign to win the seat, which I think has got to be 30 years.
Okay, there we go. Has not participated. in a public campaign debate recently. As of late 2025, she's focused on supporting Prop 50. Okay, so you can't give me an answer? We're not there yet, guys. We're not there yet. Although I did my subscription on the Perplexity Pro lapsed. Now that I've
so you're back on free Perplexity?
Yeah, but now that I have Comment, I don't need it. I could just use Comment to do it.
Okay,
so
Comment to find out when she debated.
I could. Just to mention, spokesman Ian Krager for Pelosi's office says that it's pure speculation that she's not going to seek her 20th term, but will not outright deny it. So you know what that means.
She's been the district representative for since 1987, and ChatGPT cannot find any evidence of her ever debating for
because she doesn't have to. She lives in a district where she has fake elections. I mean, elections are fake everywhere, but they're particularly fake in California and particularly fake in San Francisco. And nobody ever pays attention to that. So
1987.
1987.
Yeah.
I was 4 years old. That's crazy, man.
I was 8.
Term limits. You know, I was looking at
we just need real elections. We don't need term limits. We just need real elections.
I played the clip over the weekend of Marjorie Taylor Greene on Chip's show talking about our government has fucked us every chance they
calling
can.
for a tax revolt.
And then immediately followed by, did you see what Rand Paul did like that weekend? What he said?
Raising retirement age to 70.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man, I was pissed. Pissed. And I was like, that's
because it doesn't impact them. They just collect their salaries and die in office, ostensibly sitting at the table, waiting to cast a vote for something they don't know what they're voting on. Dianne Feinstein. It doesn't impact them at all. They're just, but us, wait to work until you're 70, plebe.
Yeah. How long do they have to serve before they get full retirement? Isn't it I think it's 8 years?
I thought it was 2 terms.
Oh, it might be 2 terms, but I mean, they serve, X amount of times. And once you're in, it's very hard to unseat an incumbent unless, you're Madison Cawthorn or somebody like that has, the scarlet letter on them from the establishment neocons. It's very hard to unseat somebody. So all you got to do is sit there long enough to collect your retirement and you're set for life. And whatever it is, $1,000 a year for the rest of your life, top tier medical. But they want us to work till we're 70. Why? Because they can't control the budget and they need more taxes for us to fund Social Security because they can't control the budget. Why? Because they're too busy doing things like this, SNAP here. Trump administration will provide half of usual funds to SNAP recipients in November. This could be like, I'm trying to think. You ever watch The Simpsons?
Not recently.
Okay. Well, there's an episode on The Simpsons where they're like on a cruise ship. I think it was on a cruise ship, and there's monkeys and they're fighting over, they have knives and they're fighting over, I can't remember what it was in the middle, but they're all fighting over resources and there's not enough for all of them to go around. So they fight to the death to get those resources.
I know the image, and there's all the people standing around with they're betting. Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
And this is kind of like, obviously it's not going to pan out this way, but this is like the similar thing. You have 42 million people on SNAP that are only going to get half of their benefits when probably only half of the 42 million actually warrant getting full SNAP benefits. So create animosity, seed that animosity between the 42 million recipients and the actual people that genuinely need it. Maybe they start rolling on the people that don't need it. And I'm not saying like they're not all like in a clique or something, but they might be like, hey, this guy's driving a Mercedes S500 2023 model, an $80,000, $90,000 car. Why are they getting SNAP benefits? They might start asking questions like that. The Department of Agriculture said it would use contingency funds to keep benefits going, albeit just 50% of the usual funds recipients receive on their cards. The announcement in a court filing by the government at the U.S. District Court in Rhode Island came after Donald Trump said the administration would comply with a court order to provide emergency funding after previous refusals to do so on purported legal grounds. That is, they're going to contradict themselves in the very next sentence, by the way. President Trump never refused to fund SNAP. President Trump didn't have the authority to fund SNAP. In the very next sentence, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, suggested that emergency funding might not be available immediately and called for more court guidance on how to fund SNAP legally. That is not a refusal to fund SNAP. That is the administration saying, we don't know how we can do this. Please guide us so we don't get sued and tied up for months on end like they have for everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it's a game, because I do think that they know, like the statute says, if contingency funds are available, if the funding is available, then SNAP has to be funded. That's that's the law, right? How Congress passed it. No, what are certain contingency funds used for, and where does that discretion lie, and all of that is where I think the Trump administration is drawing some of its "we need guidance, we don't know what to do" stuff. But I also think that they're executing a plan. I think that this is I personally think that we should abolish SNAP, and that we should so that would be repealing the law that enables it. And you can have a safety net program for food, but I don't think that you can reform this safety net program for food because it's so corrupted down to the root level. It's corrupted through, it's your federal funding, state level distribution. It's going, a lot of that is going to entities that are taking care of the problem. And then of course you have the waste, fraud, and abuse by the recipients that Shipwreck talks about all the time. Trying to reform this wholly corrupted system, to me, is a fool's errand, and you'll be caught up in court and caught up with every, all the minutia that they will throw to try and keep the gravy train going. I think the cleaner path to me is repeal the congressional authorization for this and replace it with something that actually makes sense and can't be corrupted in the same way.
Amen. Amen. And that's a good segue into my next clip here. This is Brooke Rollins, the secretary at the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time.
Okay, so let's pause right there.
Love it.
Very interesting. We know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. That's fascinating.
I hope we're going to have that conversation at some point.
Oh, absolutely. But even more fascinating than that is that this is the first time anybody's ever asked for the state's data on their SNAP recipients. You guys are getting $100 billion a year to feed 42 million Americans, allegedly. And all of that's being paid for by the rest of the taxpayers, which, if there's 142 million, I think they say there's like 140 million taxpayers, which a majority of not a majority, but a chunk of them pay nothing in taxes. That's beyond concerning. That is negligence. That is criminal negligence not to do any auditing on that.
Agreed, especially because they're entrusted. They're the arbiters of public trust for this set of programs. So yeah, it should be audited. It should be audited every single year. It should come with severe penalties for waste, fraud, and abuse. That's one of the things that I'm hopeful for, but I'm not super optimistic about, is that the people that are caught engaging in waste, fraud, and abuse of the people's money. I'm not super optimistic that they're going to have consequences for what they did, because it was the status quo, the norm. Everybody does it. It's no big deal, right? But if there aren't consequences, then it will happen again.
Exactly. And Well, let's play the rest of the clip because there's some more interesting parts to this.
And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
I'm sorry. So this is why I don't have a high level of confidence, right? We found 5,000 people that are dead that are getting benefits. Well, dead people can't cash checks. Who was cashing the check and why are they not arrested? That's where this has to go. If you want this to stop, if you want there to be a fear of abusing these programs, then there must be an example made of the people that are abusing these programs. 5,000 dead people are not cashing their own checks. Living people are committing fraud and cashing those checks, and those living people should be going to prison.
This is the second time, I think, in 2 weeks that we've seen the federal government opening up a program that would help with accountability, right? With the first one was SAVE, which is the ability for them to check the voter rolls for citizenship against federal databases. And apparently this was something that states would have had to pay for in the past. And I can't remember specifically who it was, but said that the federal government for the first time has opened this up to the states for free. And of course, we saw Texas talking about, what they found going through it. I think Ohio talked about what they found going through it. 21 states, I believe, have so far used this, according to the research that I did. All of them, every single one of them are what we would call, quote unquote, red states. Now you have Brooke Rollins saying the same thing. SNAP benefits. We opened up. We asked these states, give us your data. We want to cross it through our databases and see what comes out. And, 29 states, she said, almost all Republican. And again, I don't want to put Republicans on a pedestal because fuck them. But at least they're making an effort here to get some accountability for these types of things, probably because President Trump is a quote unquote Republican in office. But either way, I mean, if they're not willing, if these Democrat states are not willing to comply with these things, cut them off. Yeah. No more federal funding. Just done. You don't want to run your SNAP beneficiaries through our databases to see who's legitimately receiving them and who is not, then you're not getting anything from us because we are getting ripped off. You've got taxpayers, like we just talked about, being told that we need to work until we're fucking 70.
Yeah.
70. Our life expectancy is what, 76, 78 if you're a female? Yeah. So I get 8 years of peace and fucking quiet where I get to enjoy my life because you assholes can't manage a budget. I am so sick of this shit, man. Sorry.
Yeah, Brian's really mad about it. So
I'm very mad about this. I went off on a massive rant over the weekend about this. Go ahead.
The states that are obstructing the inquiry into, so mine's one of them, right? Colorado is one of the states that's not complying. There's a list out there on X somewhere about the states that aren't complying. Of course, Colorado, I think we're probably suing as well. How dare you ask us for an accounting of how we're spending the people's money? To me, and I'm biased on this because I live here, but to me, it is evidence that they know it's fraudulent. So why would you instruct the federal government isn't saying share with us your SNAP data so that we can, punish you or do, find problems, fabricate problems. They're looking for fraud and they're trying to remedy the people's money being abused and wasted and, exchanged in the commission of fraud. If states are not willing to participate in that process, it implies that they know it's fraudulent. And that's very interesting, especially for like my state, Colorado, because the states are the ones with the responsibility of distribution. They're the ones giving out the funds. So if the states are giving out funds from the federal government to people fraudulently, and they're not allowing the inquiry from an audit standpoint, that's a massive red flag of public corruption. If we were doing an audit, if a audit firm was doing a audit, for public trust, just the regular audit for any company in the world, any country in the world, and that behavior was present, right? We've asked for transparency of this data set and they won't give it to us, and we think it's full of fraud, but they won't give it to us and they're obstructing our inquiry into it. The red flags of public corruption, anti-money laundering, all of those things would be pinging off the charts. But because it's state governments doing it, again, they have the presumption of public trust, which are the presumption of good faith, the presumption that they wouldn't obstruct justice and they're operating in the best interest of the people. That's bullshit when it comes to the mismanagement of federal funds. And they have to drop the hammer on this thing, because I think my hypothesis is that in my state, the reason they're obstructing is because there's a lot of legal violations happening in how they're distributing these funds. Notably, they're going to illegals. Right. They brought in 40,000 at minimum new people into our state, newcomers, they call them. And then they put them on all of these benefits and gave them all of the things. And that's against the law. And they don't want to be caught in that. So they're just going to obstruct and say that Trump is bad and, whatever. Yep.
One of the other things. So I'm going to be doing an experiment, not an experiment, but like a man on the street. And I talk about man on the street all the time. I'm going to finally get together with a family member that's been wanting to do some of this type of work and do this type of work. What's that? You
should bring Darren with you.
Oh, dude, I'd be so down.
He'll get you into the good communities to do your man on the street.
I would be totally down. But so what we're going to do is we're going to take an EBT card, and I'm still checking the legality of this to make sure that, I can't get arrested or anything for it.
This is hypothetical and for entertainment purposes only.
No. I'm not going to be doing anything illegal. But we're going to go and we're going to make some purchases on Snap, and we're going to see what we can get with Snap, and we're going to document that. And then we're going to calculate how much money this is being used, like how this is being used. I was just doing preliminary research this morning, and it's fucking mind blowing. Like the stupidity of Snap. All right. So we've all seen Ship talking about like buying soda and chips and cake and all this other bullshit. You can't buy hot food at the grocery store. Like if Publix has like a section where you can buy like hot, pre-cooked lunch.
Chinese food at the Publix. I like
and it's good food. It's good food. So you can go and buy a Publix sub if it's cold. If it's a hot sub, you can't buy it. But if it's a cold sub, you can buy it. You can't buy hot food, but you can buy cold pre-made food. You also, there's just like,
it's really dumb.
A ton of stupidity. In certain states, you can use it in restaurants. In certain states, you can't. In certain states, you can't buy you can't buy soda and all that other stuff. But in other states, you can. This is federal money. You know where I'm going with this? These are 14th Amendment violations. Yeah, you can't take federal money and tell some people they can and can't do this, and other people in another state they can and can't do this. This is federal money. Every rule needs to be the same, uniform throughout the states. Mm-hmm. Congress could get on top of this. Congress could reel this all in. But again, they want us to work until they're 70 so they can keep their constituents fat and happy in the Democrat states. Fuck these people. Like Andrew Breitbart. Fuck you.
War. Yeah. So just to correct the record from earlier, because I was making a joke, but I'm not sure that it landed. Dianne Feinstein did not actually die at her desk awaiting the moment to cast a vote. That was a joke. We did see her completely out of it at her desk, not knowing what she was voting on. Right. We watched you and I.
I've been told to say I. So I.
Yeah. Super solid stuff. But yeah, So I don't think you're 100% accurate that all of the laws for how federal appropriations are distributed and used in the states have to be entirely uniform. That's
Sure they do.
we don't see it in elections. So the federal
Elections,
power of
hold on,
elections is
hold on.
appropriations.
Yeah, but elections are delegated to the state legislatures other than federal
With the
elections.
exception of federal elections.
With the
Right, but
exception
we
of
don't
federal
see
elections.
uniform rules for how federal elections are conducted across the states.
We do. We have a NVRA. Now, are they following it? No, that's a whole nother
My
story.
early voting statutes are different than your early voting statutes, but they both impact federal elections, for example.
But what does Article 1, Section 4 say about elections? It says Congress can make laws from time to time. It doesn't say that Congress has to do it. The state legislatures have it until Congress wants to put their thumb on the scale in one way or another. So unless Congress, and this is why Democrats keep trying to pass HR 1, the last, before 2024, the last like 3 times that they gained a majority in Congress, they tried to pass HR 1 because that would have codified mail-in balloting, universal mail-in balloting, universal early in-person voting. So comparing the elections is not exactly accurate because the law, the Constitution is broad on what Congress can do and what they don't have to do.
No, my point is the states have discretion in elections. The states have discretion in this SNAP thing as well. And so the statutorily, the distribution of this falls to the states, and the states have discretion. So I think you can make the argument that it's a 14th Amendment violation. I don't think it would be successful in court because of the discretion of the states and because of federalism generally.
So if that's not successful in court, the 14th Amendment is essentially just a de facto piece of shit amendment. And it actually is.
I mean, are we?
It actually, I agree
George
with
P.
you.
Fletcher, our secret constitution.
Yes.
Also
yes.
the state of Nevada. I'm still mad about.
I teased that yesterday on Daily, and you didn't even mention it on Alphas. I was like, Ash is going to talk about this on Alpha Makes Sandwiches, so I'm not gonna say too much here. But I asked.
I didn't because we had a guest, so I was rushing through, and I just went with drowning the Statue of Liberty in the harbor and prohibition.
And you didn't go through with Lincoln was an illegitimately elected president.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is adding states to get more votes to make himself president. That doesn't seem like something that should be allowed to happen. But, people, especially in times of war, they'll do whatever the hell they want. It's why they always want us at war, because it gives them special powers.
So everybody in the chat is now, well, not everybody, a couple people in the chat are mentioning the hard-fought battle that Ash and I have had about the pronunciation of Nevada, and I think
we've decided it doesn't matter anymore.
We both decided it's over. We're calling it a draw. It doesn't matter. The state is wholly illegitimate, so you could pronounce it Nevada, whatever. If you're a Nevada,
not going to work here anymore.
It's not going to work here anymore. That state never should have been a state. It was only done to get Lincoln across the finish line in 1864.
And it's not a rebuke of the people of Nevada. We love you guys.
No,
it's not. We're not calling you fake. You're obviously real people. I mean, not as represented on your voter rolls, but the ones of you that we know and have met, you're obviously real people. Your origin story of your state is fake, though.
It is. And Las Vegas is still one of my favorite cities in the entire union, maybe the entire world.
I won't be back there next year.
I would still go back to Nevada or Las Vegas. I would still go back there, period. All right, let's get into our next
And we
story.
will next year for GART. We're going back to Las Vegas, and I hope we go axe throwing again.
So this is what Ash sent me, that like
is there anything more Brian than this?
I need this in my life. I so need this in my life. Do you know what this would do for my back pain? Like, see, you guys are.
This is a prequel to you being the people in Wall-E.
It is, but it's also going to alleviate my back pain significantly. Like, I just hurt my back yesterday playing softball, and you know how I did it? I was mad at a play that somebody made, like a boneheaded play, and I threw my glove on the ground and I hurt my back. In a fit of rage, I hurt my back. I wasn't making some spectacular play. It was a guy that threw to me and like had no business throwing to me, 5 feet to my left, out of my range. And scored 3 runs because I was playing third, scored 3 runs. And I just, in a fit of rage, I was like, and we lost the game by 4 through the glove. What's up?
I'm raising this because I also want to know, the chat wants to know how your trick or treat potato thing went.
Oh, so I did talk about this on Y Crumbs. It's broadly true. Kids took the potatoes.
What?
Yeah. Kids took, I bought
What kind of potatoes were they?
They were like russet potatoes, so the small ones, like
small brown, the small brown potatoes.
Yeah,
not like red potatoes or purple potatoes.
No, the yellow like Yukon Gold, I think. But
okay.
They were like the size of like probably like just smaller than a baseball. And a couple people were like, why are there potatoes in here? And Christy would just say, it's your choice, candy or potato. And there were a lot of kids that took potatoes. They were all gone. The potatoes were all gone at the end of the night. So yeah, I guess.
I bet the parents were happy.
Oh, the parents were very happy.
Come home with some actual food.
We had booze. Our neighbors go all out, man. We go over across the street.
Yeah, I saw your video. That was very cool.
And they had Fireball, wine, and vodka drinks for the adults that were trick-or-treating, and they all appreciated it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this story here. From Just the News, Comey Boomerang.
Love it.
Ex-director confronted with personal emails, notes, and after playing victim card. Again, I just, none of this stuff is like really new. There is some new stuff in this reporting here, but they're just in front of mind.
The key, and there's precedent, right? But the key is the lying to Congress hits now. So Abby and I talked about this a little bit last night. The closet of documents they found at the FBI, right? That it's the magic suitcase of Russiagate. It's the magic closet where all of the documentation to show the crimes that they've been denying is in this. It's just the whole crime is put together in a magic closet at the FBI that nobody knew existed, including Comey's handwritten notes that dispute his sworn testimony before Congress.
Yeah, I
not nothing.
And for those
but
for those that didn't catch that, the magic suitcase of Russiagate, she's referring to 9/11 when they got the magic suitcase that just had all the passports, the plans, the blueprints, the names, DNA samples, hair follicles.
It's a playbook for the terrorist attack with all of the documentation, and it's the one bag that didn't make it on the plane.
Yeah, 100%.
Very silly.
So this came again from the long hidden files found in burn bags and secret storage rooms at the Bureau's headquarters. We now know the specific room, by the way, if you're interested. I think it's room 9582.
Sure.
Yeah. The cache of documents included September 2016 handwritten notes where Comey appears to address U.S. intelligence intercepts about Clinton planning to manufacture a Russia scandal against Trump, something he told senators he did not recall knowing about. Federal prosecutors said in court filings that they have unearthed a trove of personal emails showing that Comey expected to be working soon for President-elect Hillary Clinton and was being kept apprised by his friend Daniel Richman on efforts to anonymously provide information to the news media. So let's jump down here to what one of the emails actually said. Quote, make sure you keep your eyes shut. The country can't seem to handle your finding stuff, Richman wrote to Comey on October 29th, 2016. Now, keep in mind, I believe Richman's a law professor at Columbia. Yeah.
That's
keep
correct.
your eyes shut, meaning plausible deniability. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah, it's definitely something that people interested in protecting and preserving public trust as the top law enforcement agency in the country are saying to other people in that position, keep your eyes shut.
Yeah. Make sure you keep your eyes shut. The country can't seem to handle your finding stuff, Richman wrote to Comey on October 29th, 2016, like 7 days before the election or 9 days before the election. Comey replied, quote, thanks for the battling you have done against unreason. This is a strange time, but we press on. The next day, Richman sent Comey an email about an opinion piece that he had been asked to write for the New York Times about Comey's letter to Congress. Richman stated that he was, quote unquote, not inclined to, quote unquote, write something, but that he would do it if Comey thought it would help things to explain how that Comey owed Congress absolute candor and that Comey's credibility with Congress would be particularly important in the coming years of threatened congressional investigations. Also, I don't know if they just have really bad grammar or not grammar, but spelling. But there's a lot of like, what do they call those brackets? What are those called?
Well, so that's where the editor or the writer is putting in what the word actually means because of some shorthand. That I think
Right.
this is an email, so it's not handwritten, but it could be that like instead of saying with, he just put a W.
Right. W /
Yeah.
But like, where do you get Congress? I guess maybe like a lowercase c, and he only spelt it with
Ong.
one S.
Yeah, the way that
No, no,
looks,
no,
it
no.
looks like he just wrote ong, and then
Well,
they had to add the C and the rest.
well, no, because you can also use them for spelling errors. So like if somebody spelled your name like Ash, ASH, if I were to write that, I would write ASH with the brackets around an E, meaning that I know that it's supposed to be spelled Ash. This is the way that it was supposed to. And that's the brackets are letting the reader know that I inserted that E because it's supposed to be there. Now, if they spelt your name Ash, lowercase ASHE, I would have to, I couldn't technically make it an uppercase. I would put it in the brackets with an uppercase.
Right. You would put so you can also do this for clarity, just as like AP editing rules stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can also do it for clarity. So you see it says like things to explain that Comey owed. It could say in the original text, things to explain that he owed, and the writer is putting Comey in there to make it clear to the reader who he is. Right. So there's a lot of variability for why they could be using these brackets from an
But
editorial standpoint.
the one that gets me is the Congress one. Like, why is the C in a bracket and the RESS, RESS in brackets?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if it was a lowercase c, I could see the bracket on the C. But if you're missing, like if you only put one S at the end, then you would just put the brackets around that one S. So did they spell it Kong?
Go read the emails to find out. I am interested though now.
Yeah, that's one thing I couldn't find is I couldn't find the actual emails. Now I didn't go through the filings. I have the filing link, but
the emails are up on the FBI vault. All this stuff that was talked about, it was the link to it is in my show notes from last night.
I think it all comes from this filing. Let me see. I'll just do a quick Control F and put C O N. No, it's not in there. O N. Nope, not in there. Okay. So yeah, we'll dig into that a little bit more. I mean, it's nuanced. I have trust in John Solomon that he wouldn't, be making stuff up like that. But anyways, reading on. No need let me reread that because me and Ash went on a phonetic journey there. So Richmond stated that he was not inclined to write something, but that he would do it if Comey thought it would help things to explain that Comey owed Congress absolute candor, and that Comey's credibility with Congress would be particularly important in the coming years of threatened congressional investigations. Quote, no need. At this point, it would be shouting into the wind. Someday they will figure it out. And as individual 1 and 2, and I believe individual 1 is Hillary, as individual 1 and 2 point out, my decision will be one a president-elect Clinton will be very grateful for, although that wasn't why I did it, Comey said on October 30th, 2016, in a response.
That would imply that individual 1 and 2 is not, or either of them is not Hillary.
Well,
doesn't mean they're not, it's not somebody like Jake Sullivan, who was like her, deputy at the State Department, who went on to be the national security advisor, was also, key co-conspirator, in my opinion, based on the information available in the Benghazi video scandal thing with Susan Rice.
The only thing I could think of here is perhaps it's because he's specifically pointing to something that individual 1, which if it is Clinton, is pointing out, like it's firsthand knowledge of it, whereas my decision will be one that President-elect Clinton will be very grateful for, is more a presumption. And I don't know. I'm
if
with
individual 1 or 2 is Hillary Clinton and he makes that statement, then she's immediately a co-conspirator. Because that's her telling, well, I would be very happy if you made this go away. I don't think they're that stupid. I know they've been stupid, but I don't think they're that stupid.
I think that's what Solomon might be pointing at here. And let me just check and see if you want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, if they can confirm that as, individual 1 and individual 2, or individual one or individual two is Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton pointed out that Comey's decision, Hillary Clinton, would be very grateful for when she is president. That is a quid pro quo thing of value over the email scandal. That is devastating. I also think if that were true, we would have known it a long time ago and there would have been justice for it. Maybe there has been in the, secret, but
so asking the machine, John Solomon at Just the News has not explicitly acknowledged in the sources reviewed that in Comey's indictment, individual one is Hillary Clinton. However, his reporting and analysis of a court filing related to Comey's indictment strongly imply that individual one refers to Hillary Clinton. The emails and court filings discussed show Comey referring to a President-elect Clinton and suggesting that the decision he made would be one that she would be grateful for, which aligns with the interpretation that individual one is Hillary Clinton. Solomon reported extensively on the evidence and arguments used by federal prosecutors that connect Comey's actions and communications with Clinton's presidential campaign, but there's no direct statement from Solomon explicitly naming individual one as Hillary Clinton. So it's basically a long-winded way of saying he's implied it, but hasn't said it expressly.
Yeah, I mean, that I disagree with the analysis on that one specific statement, that because it's basically saying, as Hillary Clinton has said, Comey's decision would be very, she'd be very grateful. Hillary Clinton would be very grateful. Hillary Clinton said Hillary Clinton would be very grateful for Comey's making this go away, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I thought I go ahead. Sorry.
If true, that's massive and explosive. I don't think we're seeing the level of energy attached to it that I would expect if that individual one is Hillary Clinton. Also, individual one and individual two can be different people in different filings, right? The name of individual one is in whether we're talking about the indictment or we're talking about the superseding indictment, or we're talking it's specific to the filing it's in. Right. So in the John Bolton thing, we had individual one, individual two. That was likely his wife and his daughter. Right. That's, part of the same conspiracy. I don't know. It's interesting. I hope it is. Hope it is Hillary Clinton. And we get to see that trial live streamed.
You want me to throw a big monkey wrench in it?
Sure.
Individual one and two are in those brackets.
Well, right. Because that's a replacement. That's a replacement for the
too.
actual names.
Yeah, but if it's redacted, how does he know it's individual one and two? So you're saying in the email, it actually says who the individuals
The names.
are?
100%. Yeah.
He's not privy to that information.
This is his communication.
No.
Comey didn't say individual one and individual two in his communications. He said names.
I know. So how do we know that it's individual one and two? Because it's redacted. It would be, you would assume it's redacted. If it says individual one and two, why are the brackets around it?
Yeah, I don't know. And I wonder if individual one and two in this context, this is just the news reporting, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this context, if he's specifically referring to individual one and two in the indictment when he puts in the brackets in this statement, or if he's just replacing two names with individual one and individual two.
All right, let's keep going. The DOJ said Monday that Comey, quote, appears to have reconsidered that view shortly thereafter and pointed to Comey's lengthy email to Richmond the next day. Quote, when I read the New York Times coverage involving Reporter One, I am left with the sense that they don't understand the significance of my having spoke about the case in July. It changes the entire analysis. Perhaps you can make him smarter, Comey told Richmond. And I believe Reporter One is referring to Michael Schmidt, who was Richmond's source at New York Times, which, by the way, won a Pulitzer Prize for this reporting, as it all we knew it was already bullshit. Yeah. Richmond responded the next day saying, quote, this is precisely the case I made to them and thought that they understood. I was quite wrong. Indeed, I went further and said mindless allegiance to the policy and recognition that more evidence could come in would have counseled silence in July to let HRC, Hillary Clinton, twist in the wind. Richmond soon added, just got the point home to Reporter One, probably was rougher than you would have been. I mean, this sounds like now they're using some threats to convince them to report it the way that Comey wants it reported.
So this is, Potentially, right? That does sound like he's making a threat, or at least, a veiled one. However, the key here is that it takes it beyond, well, Comey was aware that Richmond was talking to but he didn't authorize anything. He didn't authorize any leaks, right? This shows that these guys are coordinating not just on getting the information out, but how it's going to be framed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad that was, yeah. So last thing here, it says Richmond responded the next day saying this is precisely the case. Okay, that we read that. Richmond soon added, just got the point home to Reporter One, probably was rougher than you would have been. Comey then emailed Richmond back saying pretty good, and sending a link to the New York Times piece about Comey's alleged options in October 2016 concerning the Clinton email investigation. Comey told Richmond, quote, "Someone showed some logic. I would paint the cons more darkly, but not bad." Richmond responded, "See, I can teach." Wow. Quote, "A large majority of the documents were on the floor in 5 burn bags in room 9582. Was then the subject to an inventory of the documents that were located inside. Investigators located hundreds of pages related to Crossfire Hurricane, and then the then classified appendix to the 2016 Durham Special Counsel report, now partially declassified. Additionally, inside a locked safe with room 9582, investigators located copies of handwritten notes of the defendant when he was the director of the FBI. Comey's handwritten notes, quote, were not known to any prior investigative teams." Fascinating. And
now he didn't correct me on this, because that last statement sounds strange to me, because when Comey was talking about all the President Trump stuff at the time of the impeachment trials and all of that stuff, he referenced his personal handwritten notes, right? Talked about them being extensive and how he absolutely knows what happened back in the day because of the quality of his handwritten notes. So we just discovered that they existed. I don't think that's right. Maybe access to them, but I would think that his handwritten notes about official investigations would have been subpoenaed documents a long time ago.
Yeah, you have a presumption that anybody in our Congress wants actual accountability for anything.
Well, I think they probably issued them. I would think Jim Jordan or DNI Ratcliffe or CIA Director Ratcliffe, when he was in the Congress, I think that they would have issued. Remember the questioning of Ratcliffe of Comey about the email investigation was savage. I would think that they would have issued those subpoenas. Here's the thing: if they did issue those subpoenas and they were never complied with, and they said, "Oh, I don't have this stuff" or something, and now we find out that this stuff exists, that's another crime.
Yeah. All I know is, and I've said this many times, watch John Solomon and his reporting, and Jerry Dunleavy. Does anybody know? For the first time ever, I clicked on his bio on Just the News, and all it says is Chief Investigative Reporter. John Solomon has a long, drawn-out bio, his history and everything, and Dunleavy doesn't even have a picture up. It's almost like it's a Publius or something like that.
Maybe he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want all of the inquiry into who he is.
Fake name. Yeah. But yeah, so keep your eyes on Solomon. We've been saying this for a long time, and Cash is exactly where he needs to be. And the more and more I see this start to unfold, the more and more I understand why he was made FBI director. And it is a very tunnel vision thing here, I think.
Get the government gangsters?
Yep. And nobody knows how to do it better than nobody knows. I don't know about how to do it better, but nobody knows more about it than the guy that wrote the book.
There's a hit list at the end of the book, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There is. All right, so let's jump into this story here.
Enemies list. Sorry, enemies list.
Enemies list. Yeah, not a hit list. You got to be very careful in that terminology. When I saw Byron Donalds the other day talking about Judge Boasberg saying heads need to roll, and I was like, whoa, Byron, careful using that type of rhetoric.
It's shameful, though, that they've done this to us, that using things like, on target, in the crosshairs, heads need to roll, hit list, those kinds of things in a political context make us so angsty about being in trouble for our speech in the United States of America.
Yeah. Yeah. Chuck Schumer put this out on X. Maybe I should file a complaint with the FCC against the Trump White House for editing his unhinged 60 Minutes interview. It will use the same exact language Trump lodged against Vice President, quote unquote, Vice President Harris. brings us to this: an anatomy of a news story. 60 Minutes invites audience into the editing process with the Trump interview. During his 60 Minutes interview, President Trump called Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer a kamikaze, complained about investigators searching through his wife's closet. Why didn't she say his wife's underwear drawer? Because that's specifically what the humiliating part was. Spoke in detail about ending wars and turned the tables on interviewer Norah O'Donnell to ask about the safety in Washington, D.C. None of that was seen by the people who watched the CBS telecast Sunday night. Less than half of O'Donnell's interview conducted Friday actually made it on air. But CBS posted a transcription and a full 73-minute discussion online so viewers could see for themselves what the president said that the network deemed worthy for inclusion in the 28-minute on-air segment. And the only reason I bring this up is newsworthy.
Can I make a correction to the record really quickly?
Sure.
I don't think that there is anything humiliating about Melania's underwear drawer. Just FYI, I think it's probably pretty badass.
I think it's probably pretty badass too.
Yeah.
And, I'll just leave that at that. But it's still humiliating. Like, I would be pissed if, like, it's humiliating as a man.
It's an attempt to humiliate her. It's a violation of her privacy, certainly.
It might not humiliate her. It humiliates the man. And the reason I say this, like, Christy and I went through TSA one point, and she had a loaded magazine in her purse. She didn't know it was there. She forgot. Okay. Genuinely forgot.
Allegedly.
And we're going through TSA. She didn't have a gun. She just had the magazine. We're going through TSA, and they ask her, why do you have a magazine in your purse? And she's like, to read on the plane. And the guy's like, no, a gun magazine. And she's like, oh my God, I forgot it. And blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, now we're going to have to take you to a back room and do some more thorough screening on you. It's just SOP. And I said, the hell you are. You're going to do it right here in front of me. And I'm going to make sure to watch all this. And it's a humiliating thing for a man to watch his wife go through something like that without
and not be able to do anything about it.
And not be able to do anything.
I can see that.
So President Trump, it might not be humiliating for Melania, although I would think it is, but it's humiliating for President Trump to have to watch his wife go through something like that. And
I still don't like the word humiliation, but I understand more what you're saying now.
Yeah. So CBS did post the 73-minute video, the long form. And this is, for Chuck Schumer to come out and say something as stupid as he did right there, that, like they did to Kamala Harris when you sued her. Kamala Harris's interview was literally fabricated to make her sound at least coherent, cogent.
Which was still hard.
Right. And well, they released the transcripts for her interview. Yes, they did. They never released the full interview until 4 months after, which was after the 2024 election. So if Kamala had won, and then we would have seen that interview and seen how literally retarded she is. Where's my Michael Malice? Oh, did somebody delete my Michael Malice? No, there it is.
She's literally retarded.
Where if somebody had seen that interview after the election, they're like, oh my God, she was literally retarded. And we voted for her and she won. Well, we didn't vote for her.
Isn't George Clooney saying that now?
Yes. I think everybody's saying that now. I don't think
I think I saw like a yesterday headline that he's coming out and being like, Kamala Harris was a mistake. Okay, retard. Like, yeah, we all knew that before you voted for her.
And did they ever release the whole unedited video interview of Kamala?
I don't know.
Look that up real quick, because I looked it up this morning and they said they did, and I don't ever
CBS,
recall.
Right?
Yeah, 60 minutes. I don't ever recall seeing the whole long form because I remember they're like, oh, we'll release the transcripts. I was like, no. Transcripts can be doctored. It's just words on paper. Like, that's easy to fabricate. I don't want that. I want to see the actual video. And I don't think
it's like ballot images versus paper ballots.
Bingo. So it said,
okay, they say yes. The full unedited video and transcript of the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris were released publicly February 5th. The FCC made public the transcript and full video as part of its review of a news distortion complaint. Also posted the same transcripts and videos on the CBS posted on their website. Let me see if I can actually find it. I'll send you the link.
But only after the FCC had to get involved in that. And
months after the election as well, right? I mean, that's kind of the crazy part of this is that they use it to manipulate an election, and then 4 months later they're like, whoops, sorry.
Yep.
Many
And
such cases, email investigation, Hunter Biden laptop, right? All these.
yeah, the
all
Hunter Biden
scams.
laptop is is earmarks of Russian disinformation. And then we find out after the fact that the FBI has actually already vetted the laptop and deemed
We never
it
said that, Brian. We said it was a
deemed it
Russian
to be
influence operation. We never said it was disinformation.
as he's thumbing his chest.
We never said that.
Oh man, I immediately I can't remember who I think it was Alpha that I was talking to. I was talking to somebody and they're like, that's my one thing. Like, you thump me in the chest and I will. Oh, you were saying that Matt, that's his thing. Like, if you thump him in the chest, what happened?
Well, so they said in that Chat GPT summary that all the stuff was produced, but in this CBS video, it's mostly transcript. CBS link their source file. It's mostly transcripts.
So they didn't release the full video because I know
think I
for
might have
sure.
found it.
Okay, maybe
57 minutes. Yeah, I'll send this to you. It's got all of the links and all of the transcripts allegedly, but I have not checked them.
But the bottom line is that this was done long after the election. At that point, you know, the effectiveness that it could have potentially had, you know, the end game.
It accomplished its objective.
Well, it
changed the minds of the voter at the time of the election, right? Any voters that it was going to change their minds, it impacted them. Solving it 4 months later after the election is irrelevant.
Right, but how much more of a landslide would it have been if they actually aired the whole thing and saw that Kamala Harris is actually a bumbling idiot? That's my point. I mean, Trump was able to battle back against that because he's just a far superior candidate, like infinitely better than Kamala Harris. And he was able to battle against that. But what if that had gotten her over the finish line and she somehow won the election, and then we find out 4 months later that they significantly edited that so she doesn't look like a bumbling idiot? You know, that's what I'm saying, and that's where the dishonesty comes in, and that leads us.
It's the same, you know, tactics, and yeah, I think the same conspiracy of all of the media discovered on debate night that Joe Biden was incapable. No, they just couldn't hide it anymore, and so they had to turn. And then, you know, Jake Tapper is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to write a book about this." Like, shut up, dude! Like, you were part of it.
And that leads directly into this as well. The Telegraph put this out yesterday. Exclusive: BBC doctored Trump's speech. Internal reports reveal. You needed internal reports to see that a speech was doctored?
Yeah. If you're retarded.
Did you not have like the 20 minutes to watch the speech?
Well, Brian, you were acting way too surprised when we're talking about the people that the same entities that did the very fine people. There are still people that believe that President Trump called Nazis and white supremacists very fine people, even though he explicitly said in the same speech, not the white supremacists and neo-Nazis, they should be condemned totally. That still has legs. People still believe that. So this is like, yeah, of course they lied. They're liars. This one's a foreign one though. BBC is foreign, so I think we should.
Birds of feather. They're all five eyes.
Just invade Britain. I mean, I'll say it.
A panorama program broadcast a week before the U.S. election. Okay, so they've been sitting on this for a week. Just keep that front of mind. Completely misled, quote unquote, completely misled viewers by showing the president telling supporters that he was going to walk to the Capitol with them to, quote, fight like hell, when it in fact said that he would walk with them to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Are you fucking kidding me?
Do we have the clip? Is the clip?
Yes, we do. I don't worry. I'll get there.
The clip, the doctored clip.
Yes. The quote-unquote mangled footage was highlighted in a 19-page dossier on BBC Bias, compiled by a recent member of the corporation's Standards Committee and is now circulating the government departments. The dossier claims senior executives and the BBC's chairman had ignored and dismissed a string of serious complaints raised by the corporation's own standards watchdog. It is literally, guys, tomorrow is 1 year since the 2024 election. This happened before the election. It has taken 1 year for the BBC. Now, granted, you guys are educated. You're watching Badlands. You're not watching BBC. You're not watching Telegraph. You're not watching the bullshit intelligence propaganda being put out there. Anybody with half a freaking, if you had one eye and you're borderline retarded, you would have been able to. You would have been
call
able
you
to.
Illuminati.
You right? Oh, geez. Oh gosh, I didn't even think about that. Well, whatever. If you had one eye and you were half retarded, you could have still figured this out in like a day.
And when was you said it's been 1 year since the 2024 election, but when was this
2 weeks before.
Aired? So the doctored clip was aired 2 weeks before the 2024 election. A week. So it did. My question is, sorry, I'm not being very articulate. It's going back to, this wasn't done at the time of January 6th or in service of the Trump impeachment about January 6th or any of those things. This was specifically to impact the 2024 election.
This is foreign election interference.
Foreign election interference. Invade Britain.
Exactly. This is foreign election interference. The dossier claimed the senior executives and chairman had ignored and dismissed a string of serious complaints. Why? If you have something that serious and you have fucking integrity, you go public with it. You go public with it and say, hey, I can't work for this anymore. These people are flat out lying to manipulate a U.S. election. This has greater implications than just our own trust and integrity. This goes into invading. Essentially. Remember, the Brits also sent over, didn't they send over like 100 people to work for the Kamala Harris campaign or something?
I don't know. There's also that foreign interference Mamdani campaign thing. I don't know if you have that story today, but Mamdani is he's being investigated for foreign interference because of the Brits coming in and participating in his campaign. So Brits been doing this for a while. You know what we could do, Brian, is just arm the Irish rebels. That's something that's worked for us in the past. Not forever, but for a time.
Yeah. The Telegraph will soon publish other excerpts from the memo, which accuses the BBC's Arabic services of bias over its coverage of the war in Gaza. I can't wait to see that one because I know exactly where they're going to go with that. And I think that's going to be the propaganda. Just my take, and accuse the corporation of quote unquote effective censorship of its coverage of the transgender debate. The conservatives, this is referring to the conservatives, I assume, in Britain, have demanded an immediate investigation into how the Panorama documentary was allowed to be broadcast. That was a year ago, dipshits. Where were you guys a year ago when it was actually broadcast? You didn't watch that? Well, we'll save it for
They were quiet because they wanted it to have the desired impact of interfering with a U.S. election.
Yep, exactly. Because they didn't want Trump. Even the conservatives, it's a pseudonym at this point. It's fake. It's fake. As well as altering Mr. Trump's words, the documentary also showed flag-waving men marching on the Capitol in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, after the president spoke, which, quote, created the impression that Trump supporters had taken up his call to arms. In fact, that footage was shot before Mr. Trump had even started speaking. Something we've said in the J6 denier movement, election deniers, J6 deniers, COVID deniers. That's something we've said since day one. That the people that were there deliberately to instigate shit at the J6, protest, riot, whatever they want to call it, the people that were already at the Capitol, not all of them. There were some people that were like hedging their bets, and they're like, I'm not going to get close enough to the podium for when President Trump speaks, so I'm just going to go to the Capitol. But a chunk of them were at the Capitol to make sure they were in the front, to make sure that they could instigate this, to make sure that they could incite the violence. And that is exactly what happened. And that is exactly what the BBC, went ahead and did. And wasn't the BBC like strangely in Butler, PA? It's almost like there's like coordination in all of this stuff between these Mockingbird media outlets, but they're British. They don't have CIA influence.
It's almost like they're not media outlets. They're actually intelligence operations.
They're intelligence propaganda operations.
Yeah. I said arm the Irish rebels, and Rookie Irish said that he's already armed. So I think that he gets to be general.
All right, General Rookie Irish. The report said Panorama's, quote, distortion of the day's events was so egregious that viewers would ask, why should the BBC be trusted and where will this all end? The BBC should never be trusted. Here is the clip. I believe. Where did the clip go? Oh,
there is an argument to be made that all of the angst and pain over the last, 150 years in the United States of America can be tied back to the children of Queen Victoria And, I think that there's also an argument to be made that we have not quite defeated the invisible enemy until all of those people are rolled up and their descendants.
I'm not educated enough to speak on that, but I will take your word for it, because if you are speaking on it,
Folks can go read Prussiagate and draw your own conclusions. Prussiagate.substack.com.
All right, so this is one of the small clips.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Let's play that one more time.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Disgusting.
So this is really important. And it's really important when you go back to the January 6th investigation and the fabricated story that was made then, and the 14th Amendment, Anderson versus Griswold 14th Amendment trial to keep President Trump off of the ballot of the 2024 election. The, Brian, you and I covered that, and the coded dog whistles. Right. The dog whistles about President Trump was using what was actually said under oath by people in a court of law was that President Trump saying we're going to go down to the Capitol and peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard was a coded dog whistle for violence to tell his supporters to sharpen their flagpoles and go take over the Capitol building. That was always bullshit. But it's really important because, you were at the Ellipse, but not at the Capitol, right? Is that right?
Correct.
Right. So I was at the Ellipse and then went to my hotel and then went to the Capitol. I didn't realize there was violence or anything at the Capitol until I got there. Big part of that was that there was a comms blackout for regular people. Our phones didn't work. If you had emergency service access, like the access to the emergency services networks on your phone, it worked. But if you just had regular cell service, your phone didn't work. But I remember very clearly President Trump saying, we're going to go down to the Capitol. And I remember the peacefully and patriotically part, but him saying, I will be with you. That was a big draw for all of us to go, right? It was freezing. It was miserable, but we thought President Trump was going to be there and nobody was expecting to take over the Capitol. We thought there might be a press conference. He might come out on the steps and say some things. Some other people might come out on the steps and say some things with him. That's why you see at the Capitol that police line that everybody's very peacefully standing behind the police line. People were trying to get their spots to see the president at the Capitol and to see what was going to happen. But then they made it into an insurrection. And the way that they did that, spoiler alert, if you don't know, is that they launched tear gas into the crowd so that the people had nowhere to go except over the police line. And you can see this on Woo's News. You can see this in the declassified stuff. I think Gateway Pundit has done some good work on this story, but it was always bullshit. Why did that not come up in the January 6th report? Why did the fact that the Capitol Police launched CS gas into a peaceful crowd of people, making them cross the police line, and then they were super violent against those people? Why did that never come up when we talk about what happened on January 6th? Because the whole thing is freaking lie. It was a Fedsurrection. It was not an insurrection. The American people are amazing and Trump supporters are amazing. And we were there to support the president and to hope for justice for the 2020 election, which we're still waiting and hoping for, by the way.
Amen. Yeah, that's something I've been saying forever. I used to do a show where we interviewed J6ers every week, and that was always the common theme with them is that if they hadn't shot the pepper balls at us and the tear gas and everything else, nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened. There was no violence, And
there was violence that happened while President Trump was still talking at the Ellipse.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I think President Trump was very deliberate on that day as well, because he was almost an hour late coming out to speak. And he's never late for these. Well, I don't want to say never late because I'm sure there's, circumstances.
It's often a little late.
Maybe like 5-10 minutes. He was like almost a full hour late. And we were out there freezing, and I think he deliberately put out the image. Remember, like they showed him in the tent, like dancing. I think they deliberately did that so that we looked at that and we're like, he's not late because he was doing some government business or anything. No, he's in the tent warm and watching the cameras and dancing. And so that people are like, then why was he late? Why was he late if that was the case? Because when he ended the speech, we still had to walk, 3 miles to get to the Capitol? Is it only one?
Yeah.
Oh. But and
Around
President
one.
Trump said, I'm going to walk with you guys. He's like, I'm
It
going
was
to
a
walk.
fun march, by the way. There was a giant flag. I remember being under that giant flag for a period of time. One of my friends was walking next to Buffalo Soldier guy, Jacob Chansley. And her takeaway, like she told me that night, her takeaway was that dude was crazy. Like he was a crazy person. He was saying things that were crazy to me. But one thing that just popped into my head that I don't think I've ever thought of before is what if the reason, this is full speculation, right? What if the reason that our phones didn't work, that the the networks were down, was so that there wasn't communication between the ellipse and the Capitol for the operation? So you said, President Trump was almost an hour late. Those guys started their breach of the line, Ray Epps and that whole thing. They started that while President Trump was still talking. What if they couldn't communicate? It's interesting. I haven't thought about that before. Yeah. I was annoyed because I couldn't call my dad. My dad was flipping out that I was in trouble or hurt or whatever, But
and for anybody
that had emergency access, and I was able to call my dad.
For anybody that may not have ever heard this before, because I've written about this, and I think I'm the first person that's ever dropped this. Ray Epps, when he whispers in Ryan Samsel's ear, it's clear as day what he says. I never dawned on me until I interviewed Ryan Samsel and went back and listened to that clip, and it's clear as day. He says, he whispers to Ryan Samsel, we need more people. And the New York Times wrote an article saying that Samsel told the New York Times from prison that he said the cops are just trying to do their jobs, relax, or something along those lines. Samsel says he never, ever said that to the New York Times, but the New York Times reported that. So
that's a hell of a defamation case.
It's a hell of a defamation case unless they can prove it. Now, at the same time, Samsel got his ass whooped by the guards in there, like
in prison or in January 6th?
In prison. And so was he coached into saying that? I don't know. But the interview I did with Ryan Samsel was fascinating.
The guy that went blind or something, right? Didn't he lose sight in an eye?
Yeah, he says he lost sight in one eye. But he tells a story that when the FBI first approached him, they approached him, brought him to like someplace. They had a cup of coffee. They had a can of dip for him. They knew exactly what dip he liked. And they're talking to him. And, he kind of got to the point where he was like, I think I need a lawyer. And they're like, no, we're not here for that. We just want you to say, the guy that whispered to you, just tell the people that he was the voice of reason. And that's what the message the FBI was coaching him to put out there. You got to go watch the interview I did with Ryan Samsel.
Where is Ray Epps anyway?
Remember the New York Times?
The one guy that was calling for everybody to go take over the Capitol, nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found. And remember, the New York Times got the only exclusive interview with him. And if you read the entire article, I think there's like 2 quotes from the interview. All the rest of it is just their propaganda about how he's just trying to run a farm to do marriages and weddings and all this other stuff. And the whole thing was just propaganda and how rough his life has been.
It makes no sense that the media, who is force feeding down everyone's throat the deadly insurrection story, that the Trump supporters are these deadly insurrectionists and a threat to democracy and must be separated from their rights. Yet they came to the defense of the one guy on camera calling for an insurrection, allegedly.
Yep. I don't know, man. All right, so let's keep moving here. Now, going back to the Panorama documentary, Boris Johnson, former PM of Britain, put this out. This is a total disgrace. The BBC has doctored footage of Trump to make it look as though he incited a riot when he, in fact, said no such thing. We have Britain's national broadcaster using a flagship program to tell palpable untruths about Britain's closest ally. Is anyone at BBC going to take responsibility and resign? November 3rd, 2025, 1 full year after, 1 full year and 1 week after this documentary was actually published. This is all manufactured outrage. This is complete bullshit outrage. CYA, cover your own ass, not CIA, but CYA, cover your own ass. The question is why? What is about to come down that this is all being put out there? You're looking at me.
No, I was just looking because somebody in the chat mentioned it and I had forgotten about it. We said, what happened to Ray Epps? Where is that? And thank you, Donnie Dublé, for reminding us. Judge Boasberg was the judge in Ray Epps's case. So
no fucking way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. I will read you the summary here. Jeb Boasberg is the chief judge of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. He has presided over numerous high-profile cases. In the Ray Epps case, he delivered the sentencing, commented that Ray Epps was hounded out of his home and that Epps' life had been upended by threats and false narratives. He underscored that the attack on January 6th was an insurrection by the supporters of the former president rather than instigated by FBI and Antifa. His plea and sentencing Epps' plea and sentencing took place in front of Boasberg, and I'm looking for exactly what he got.
Do you know why they charged him? Oh, he got probation. Do you know why they charged him? Because Samsel wanted to subpoena him as a witness, and so they charged him so that he couldn't testify.
Wasn't he on the list and then off the list before any of that?
Yeah, well, he was like on the top 6. He was
1 year of probation, 100 hours of community service, a $25 special assessment, $500 in restitution, and no prison time.
Holy shit. Boasberg.
Yeah. Jeb Boasberg needs to be impeached and then, in my opinion, prosecuted as a co-conspirator in the Grand Rico.
Arrested, for sure. But again, going back to Boris Johnson, this is old news. Like this is something that we've been saying in the alternative media, you know, the conspiracy theorists about the way that President Trump's messaging on that day was portrayed, falsely portrayed, inaccurately portrayed. And now we have, 4 years after we've been saying that. We've been saying that for 4 years. 4 years after that, BBC never caught wind of any of us talking about what actually happened, manipulates a documentary, manipulates his speech to put it out there to make it sound like President Trump incited January 6th, which was right back in the front and center because he said he was going to pardon them or he was considering pardoning them. So BBC puts this out to propagandize the American people. And now all of a sudden, a full year later, the Telegraph all of a sudden had a come to Jesus moment because they got a leaked dossier. The leaked dossier was what they needed to tell that BBC altered that fucking documentary. Shut it down, man. Shut this shit down.
That's not plausible deniability. Because those statements are recorded and have been the substance of lawsuits. They have been particularly the peacefully and patriotically line that is, cut and manipulated in that footage was the key line that was supposed to keep him off the 2024 ballot. That speech clip has been played over and over and over and over again. Nobody has plausible deniability on getting that wrong.
Yep, 100%. Okay, just real quick, we'll jump into this story briefly. This is part 2. We saw it at the Pentagon. Now we got it at the White House.
1 second before we move on. Wolf Barney says you can't hate journalists enough. And I would just say these people aren't journalists. They're propagandists.
No, they're not journalists. They're propagandists. A journalist is somebody that went and listened to the entire J6 thing and picked out every single moment of it and discovered that Ray Epps is actually on camera saying we need more people. Nobody else ever came up with that as far as I know. I think, to be fair, I think that what's her name that writes for Gateway as well? No.
Cassandra.
No, not Cassandra. She might have because I had an exclusive that I was told was an exclusive, and then she messaged me and she's like, hey, I actually put this out a while ago. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was told it was an exclusive. I searched for it. I couldn't find it, but she didn't have a really big Twitter following. So anyways, she might have put it out. I don't know for sure. But as far as I know, I was the first person that found that you can actually hear what he says in that. And no journalist ever looked into that. New York Times put out their propaganda piece. That's not journalism. That's not journalism. They said, we have a recording of it. Okay, then publish the recording. Okay. Journalism is not telling people, trust me, bro. This is the truth. Journalism is saying, this is the truth. I found this truth. Here is your way of verifying that this is the truth. So when New York Times says we have a recording that a recording that New York Times has obtained, you should have a fucking link to that recording in your article. And they hardly ever do. Any article I've ever written, if I make a claim on something, it's sourced. It's a link directly to what that claim is, the evidence supporting that claim. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, and the reliance upon anonymous sources has been a change over the past 30 years that is pretty mind-blowing when considered against what they're saying, right? According to 3 sources close to the matter, this massive scandal thing that has absolutely no documents, no videos, no source or substance except trust me because I talked to some people you should also trust.
Alicia Powell, that's who I'm thinking of.
No. Never would have
Alicia Powell. It just popped into my head. All right. So from Fox News, Trump White House limits reporters' access to staff offices and latest move restricting press coverage. Quote, in order to protect such material and maintain coordination between National Security Council staff and the White House communications staff, members of the press are no longer permitted to access room 140 without prior approval in the form of an appointment with an authorized White House staff member, the memo says. Credentialed White House journalists could previously access room 140 on short notice to speak with senior officials. Journalists may still access another area where lower-level White House communications staffs have desks. Quote, the White House Correspondents Association unequivocally opposes any effort to limit journalists from areas within the communications operations of the White House that have long been open for news gathering, including the press secretary's office, says CBS News White House reporter Weijia Jing, the current president of the group, in a statement. This is interesting. Same thing that happened at the Pentagon. And remember, when it was happening at the Pentagon, what were we told? That it's got to be like it is at the White House. Like this was already a policy at the White House. And turns out maybe it wasn't the policy at the White House, where journalists are just able to walk into the press secretary's office, nonchalantly and whatever. Now, should they be able to? I don't know. Maybe not.
Certainly wasn't the case at the Biden White House.
Exactly. There was no access. Now, the other thing that I think is interesting.
Even the cabinet couldn't get time with the president or the press secretary.
The other thing I think that is interesting about this is I think this could be kind of setting a foundation for canary traps all over the place. And not that there aren't already canary traps going on here, but I think this is a possibility. We're giving you access to the lower staff members, the lower communication staff members. Well, that's where most of your leaks come from. They don't always come from, the press secretary, the deputy press secretary, assistant press secretary. It's coming from the low level people working way under them that hear something and they're like, hey, I don't know if you heard this, but, and they'll just whisper sweet nothings into somebody's ear, try and whatever. So I think that's interesting.
Or, in the case of Daniel Richman, was just a pass through for messaging from one official to the journalist.
That too. Love to see this. Check this clip out as Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be on The View today. Check this out.
And that the other insane thing is that when people are going to go to their meetings with the judge, the meetings that they're supposed to go to, when they're listening to what the hell, what?
I love when Sonny passes notes.
We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part. It was a joke.
Yeah. We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to
part. Come on.
But we do know that he didn't know who that crypto guy was.
Well, I'm sorry. The hardest thing about this job now is no one understands nuance. When you hear a joke, when somebody's fooling around, when they're not saying something specific, especially on this show. I'm very specific when I'm pointing stuff out. When I'm making jokes, when I'm making jokes. This is ridiculous.
Okay. So, sorry, whoops. Nuance died when you all killed it. There is no nuance left when you've painted all of us with one broad brush of being Nazis and white supremacists because we oppose your authoritarian aims. So no, we're not going to observe nuance. And I'm certain that your attorneys on The View are not going to allow you to play in a space of nuance, because you're going to get the network arrested and prosecuted again. And maybe not arrested, but certainly dragged into court and probably signed up for millions and millions of dollars in fines again for what you call nuance, which has actually in the past proven to be defamatory.
Check out these two clips.
Yeah. But I think that that's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media.
All right, so we can stop there. I just love the fact check part and the fact that Farrah Griffin, my white hat on the View panel.
You love her.
She's my white hat. She's my white hat. But then I love this one because this one's the best one, because this is, what's his name, Danny.
Before you play the last clip, can you go back and just to the first clip that we watched? Is Joy Behar missing? Someone's missing, because there's usually 5 of them before their guest.
Joy. That's a good catch.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah. Where's Joy, everyone?
Wait. But isn't this is the same? Oh, no, they're not wearing. Whoopi's wearing the same thing. Nobody else is.
Oh.
Okay, dude, I thought that clip was, anyways. All right, whatever.
Yeah, interesting. Where's Joy?
Where is Joy?
We have to do one of the things.
Oh, this is what's his name? The guy that does the fake sit-ins.
That we do really well here, and that is correct.
This guy's epic.
Dangerous misinformation that he is spreading. Do not listen to anything he says, because he is giving you bad information. Go to our website, see all the resources that if you need them, you can take advantage of. And we'll try to always give you the truth. That's why I had to say.
Well, Whoopi, throughout your entire monologue here, you looked straight to the camera until you said, "We will give you the truth." That's when you looked down in discomfort and doubt. In other words, your body just rejected the bullshit that came out of your mouth. Isn't that amazing?
So good.
I love that guy. He is so good at those clips, man. All right, so I think that probably I'm gonna have to wrap up. Let me make sure there's not anything crazy that I wanted to get to with you. I think that's it for today. That makes
and don't worry, if you were hoping for Gordon today, you will see him tomorrow.
Yes. We do have 2 Rumble rants. GFY0420. I voted in New Jersey today. No ID was even asked for, so I can just go and give any resident's name and vote for them. This is ridiculous, not to mention a sign out front that said no voter turned away. Give me a picture of that sign.
Yeah, I put in the chat after I read that rant. That was an early one. Did you get a picture of that sign?
Did you get a picture of that? Oh my goodness, I really hope you have a picture of that. No voter turned away. Wow. Just welcome the fraud. Like, no ID and nobody's turned away. Can I vote? Sure you can. Wow.
Yeah.
Sleep state. I was hoping for military trial of Dick Cheney for killing millions in forever wars. Me too.
Thank you.
Like I said, my mama told me, if you ain't got something nice to say, don't say anything at all. That guy is resting in the pits of hell, and rightfully so. All right, that's all I got, guys. Make sure you tune in to Oh man, I can
book club. We got book club today.
Yes, we have book club today.
Brian and I will be back at 6 p.m. Eastern to talk about what are we on, chapter 9? I think. Hang on. Hold for
chapter
verification.
9, yeah, we're starting chapter
10. We're starting chapter 10. Yeah.
Starting chapter
we're almost
10.
done. Look at this is all we have left. It's right there. This book has been a beast.
This book has kicked our
I'm
ass.
looking forward to something easy next.
Yes, instead of like mind bending, all that stuff. So,
well, it picked up. It got better. The first part of it, where it's explaining the concepts and all of the different criteria that go into constituting a turning and all of that kind of stuff, that was really heavy and rough. Like it was. You and I struggle bust through that, but it's gotten pretty good. I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so tune in to that tonight at 6 p.m. I am going to be doing the DOJ show here probably at 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock. I'll post it when I go live at Canncon Actual on YouTube and Canncon on Rumble. What you got coming up, Ash?
Well, book club today, and today is the anniversary of Obama winning victory in 2008. And we got a banger history post coming out today at 6 p.m. So make sure you check that out at ashinamerica.substack.com. I am most excited today. Somebody's asking for the book name. The book name is The Fourth Turning that we're covering on book club right now. I am most excited to see if Shipwreck's name comes up on The View. And if they talk about the tax revolt, I hope it does. Ship has, they mentioned her on the Daily Show in a sketch. Her substance of I don't think she was on, but the substance of her discussion with Marjorie Taylor Greene was discussed on Bill Maher, and so be interesting to see if on The View today what happens there. And shout out to Ship because she's doing great work. She's doing really solid work.
I can't wait to see how high The View's ratings are for that one show.
Yeah,
compared to their other shows. For one, that's going to be a wake up call to YouTube TV, or excuse me, to ABC. And I can't watch it because I have YouTube TV and they're not airing anything ABC, Disney, ESPN.
Oh,
so
yeah. My husband's really
YouTube
pissed about
TV
this too.
can fuck all the way off because I did not get to watch Monday Night Football last night.
Yeah, the sports.
I was so pissed last night. Like the only reason I'm not canceling it is because I get NFL Sunday Ticket for free somehow.
Yeah.
One of our listeners gifted it to me last year, and somehow I'm still getting it free this season. So I'm not complaining, but I'm going Fubo as soon as I lose the NFL Sunday Ticket. ABC, Disney, ESPN, YouTube TV, you guys can all fuck off.
Yeah, no, I feel like you and Matt could have called and commiserated last night because he was livid as well. Also, I beat JB this week, who is the number one fantasy person in the league, JB. And I beat him by like a lot.
I'm sitting there watching.
Are there standings up yet?
No, I'm sitting there watching New England, Atlanta. Yeah, it'll be up now. Monday's over. I'm sitting there watching New England, Atlanta, and I'm like, why is Monday Night Football bright? Like, why is it? And then I see the scores going up, and I'm like, wait, that game's in the first quarter. This is in Monday Night Football.
How many games do we have left until playoffs?
5, I think.
Oh my gosh, I might actually make the playoffs. I'm working my way back up. I'm now, so I was in last place, which is 12th, and then I was in 10th place. Now I'm in 8th place. You know who's in 7th place? You.
Yep. Because I'm better.
Coming up on your heels.
All right, we'll see you guys tonight. God bless.
Hit the thumb, guys.
Before skincare went synthetic, people used something simple, something real. Tallow. Grass-fed and finished beef tallow is packed with vitamins A, D, E, and K. Nutrients your skin actually knows what to do with. It locks in moisture, restores elasticity, and defends against winter dryness. No water, no preservatives, and no BS. Unlike plant oils or chemical creams, tallow mimics your skin's own structure. Elbows, hands, knees, post-shave, anywhere your skin's crying for real moisture. Perfect for gifting or keeping your own skin soft when the cold hits. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off. Ancient Care, modern truth.
Soft Disclosure.